Good afternoon. I'm here.
Is it afternoon?
It is. No one would know except for you and me.
Well, that's exactly right.
Sometimes
Let's
it's
act
morning,
like it's
sometimes it's afternoon.
2 a.m. We're recording this.
Oh, I would not be
before
up at 2 a.m.
5:30 release. We're not. We're actually
No.
not. So how are you feeling, babe?
I feel great.
Before we jump into you got it. You're going to lead us today, aren't you?
Well, okay,
God
I
put
will.
something on your heart, didn't
I
he?
will. Yeah, just something
You will?
something that's been kind of rolling around in my brain.
Percolating a little
Thought it
bit.
might be a good
brewing.
conversation.
It will be. So what a beautiful day outside. It looks beautiful. It said it feels like 19. But it looks, the sun's
And
out.
what was it yesterday?
It was 84, 85, something like that.
I mean,
intense heat.
Crazy.
But the wind blew in, and it was not from the south. Last night it was from the north. It shifted, and woo! So this morning that 45 degrees was cold, and then standing out there in the 19.
Yeah,
really. And I had a neighbor. I was doing my little, calf raises and stared at the sun. And then I did 20 push-ups and I was in my bathing suit and I looked around and neighbor, he was literally just staring at me like, you fool,
the
what
one
the
behind
heck
us
are you doing?
That walks around in his yard?
Yeah,
him?
the one with the labyrinth in his backyard.
Well,
who does the Tai Chi walking.
Well, that's probably what he thinks about us,
what are they
too.
doing? They're running around. Oh, they're chasing a dog. Y'all, we have a lot going on over here.
We do.
It's neighbor ladies. Look, chasing
it's
dogs.
A circus.
Oh, did the first one go down? Oh, look. That one.
Okay, I can't see anything. I'm behind all the trees.
Look. Oh my gosh, that dog does not want any. And they're not even gaining.
Oh,
the other girl,
goodness.
I think the lady in the red and white sweater went down.
Our neighborhood, we got dog chasers. We have labyrinth walkers.
We do.
Lots happening.
Yeah. The flags are waving out there.
Oh man, yeah.
So you feeling good, babe?
I am. I'm feeling my energy's waning a tiny bit. This is when it gets to be around this time of the afternoon. Sometimes I feel a little dip.
Mm-hmm. You had a little good lunch with a friend. Got out of the house. It's always good to do.
Yep.
So you can report back on that in a minute.
Store, I will. That'll be part of what we're talking about.
Had a good family night, man. Woo! Those up on the rooftop, and we all, the Hackney 12 got together. We ran into some friends there. That was cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
One of those God moments where they said, just 10 minutes ago, we were talking about y'all. I go, well, that's the way it works. And here we are.
Isn't it
manifestation,
I was
baby.
telling somebody about that, and I said, Brian said something about morphic resonance, and she was like, I've never heard that word.
Rupert
Whatever you said,
Sheldrake.
I don't even know what you
Look
just
up
said.
Rupert
Okay, so
Sheldrake.
tell about that. What is morphic resonance?
Oh, man, let's not do that.
Okay.
But, I mean, it is a cool phenomenon that Rupert Sheldrake, so, yeah, just spelled just like it sounds. So look him up.
Rupert
It's a cool
Sheldrake.
thing. It's all to do with consciousness and how we're all in this. There's this field of consciousness that exists that we believe exists, and that it comes to us through the receiver of our brain. Mm-hmm. It's not created by our brain. And I think if you're a believer, you believe that. You believe that you and your essence, your soul, continues on when the lights are out. And so if you believe that, then consciousness comes from somewhere. It's not created just inside our little dome in our mind. And anyway, just tuning into that. Mm-hmm. And so that stuff that happens when you both start singing the same exact song at the same time, and some people just think that you're keeping time subconsciously, or somehow the sound waves just exist. They're out there, and then you tune in, to that frequency at the same time, but anyway, he talks about how birds, like in one part of the world, will learn behaviors, and instead of it being passed along genetically to their offspring, things that they learn as they evolve over time, that some of the things that are learned by birds on another coast or in another part of the world will actually be transmitted somehow and transferred to these other birds. I mean, whale pods. All things in nature.
Is it the same thing? The monkeys washing the sweet potatoes, or is that not the same
monkeys washing sweet potatoes?
Okay, that might be another thing. We'll talk about that on another podcast.
It talks about how dogs. You can repeat this experiment that if you're, we talk about women's intuition. But they've done studies, and it's not just random. It's not just like 50-50 coin flip. It's actually statistically proven that if you are standing with your back to someone and then they stare at you, that more times than not, when they're staring at you than they're not.
Oh, that's wild.
It talks about the dogs that know when their masters are coming home. And you may think, well, of course, because you go to work, they know your car, or it's the time of day. But they've talked about, they've done the experiments where it's not the car and it's not the time of day. You change it up and they hop up and they're anticipating your arrival with their little excitement at the door. So what is that, right? What is that? There's just so much we don't know.
So much more than coincidence,
Yep. Cool stuff you can look into, though.
So much
speculate
more
on and dream about.
That's cool.
I'm excited for whatever's next. I think we talked about that before. I'm really, really curious.
I know.
That's a good way to look at it.
And I'm excited for you to find out what's next after this life, but I'm not.
You're not trying to speed it up?
I'm not ready for you to leave. So when you say that to me, like, you know what, man, just be me at Scotty or whatever. It kind of makes me sad. Like, I kind of get it. I know you're not saying that. You're just sometimes. I
wonder how many people that listen
jokingly
know Beam Me Up, Scotty. We have some people that know the Star Trek reference. Some people have never heard of that show.
Okay.
I wonder how many people call it Star Trek. Man, that bugged me growing up.
Do I say that?
You're the kind that would say Star Trek because you say Popeyes
instead
of you say Popeyes instead of Popeyes.
Popeyes,
like Popeyes chicken or Pop. I can't even say Popeye the Sailor Man. Man, we've gone downhill. What are we talking about?
Okay,
we're talking about sweet potatoes and monkeys and Popeyes chicken. So what do you got on your mind, babe?
Okay. So, and I'm trying to think where, how you go down different rabbit trails, and I don't really know where this one came from, but I've been thinking about isolation and community.
Yeah.
I think, and I recognize it sometimes in me. I know we were built for community. I believe we all were. I don't care if you're introvert, extrovert, it does not matter. I think we were created for community. But some of us are more drawn to that, AKA Jamie. Some of us would be happy to just hunker down and be at home,
AKA
Brian.
You just got your cup filled with some community, with some girl time on the Evergreen retreat. We talked about that. And you've got a little vision night coming up. I just think that's great. That's who you are. And you're right. We are built for it. We need it. Guys really have a hard time with it.
Why do you think that is?
Multiple reasons, I think. One is... So growing up, I had tons of buddies, tons of little friends. I spent the night with these guys. I won't say their last names, but, so John was a huge friend, first through sixth grade, really first through, college days was Paul. And, we would hang out. And then you had your little, other buddies who, we had gangs of buddies, right? And in college, we called ourselves the Muppets, the people on your, maybe dorm, fun. Maybe Second West. Anyway, lots of friends growing up, and you played on football teams, basketball teams, you ran track, and you'd go hang out with your friends. And, but then I think when you get married and you have kids, you're working, even if you have like the hobby, unless you're just the weekend warrior and you're playing softball or you're in one of those leagues that you're playing basketball or whatever in a rec league, or you're playing a couple of nights a week, you may play golf on the weekends, but then it's 5 hour round and you start feeling A, it's expensive. B, you suck at golf. And then C, you're just spending so much time away from your wife and kids. So I think when you're married and you have kids, you're naturally going to be home more because you feel, I just felt guilty for being away from the family so much. And you want to be there to father your kids. You want to be there, be involved in their lives, and you want to be involved with your wife, and you've got a life there. So it's easy to let a lot of those kind of less important friendships, the ones that aren't so tight, to let those go. You only have so much time. I'm working. I come home from work. I mean, you're eating dinner. You've got a family. So if you were to hang out with them, it'd probably be on a weekend, right? And so I would do the rare. I mean, we would go fishing. We'd go hunting. We would do stuff like that with my buddies. But I think over time, you get to where, I mean, I think men just think I'm good with my wife. Like she's my best friend and I'd rather be with her than go hang out with my buddies. Some people that aren't like that, so they're probably going to go hang out with their buddies. But I think it just gets fewer and fewer. You can just count on one hand how many close relationships guys have. They don't open up as well. They don't share their emotions and stuff. And so if you're not doing an activity that you both enjoy, you're probably not going to do it. You're not just going to call somebody up and go, hey, let's go have coffee. Yeah. It's usually, hey, you want to go shoot something or catch something or hunt something. So there's that part of it. I think then too, many, many men, because we are isolated, you start to think, well, crap, I'm no fun. So when you're isolated, and you're built for community, you're not in it. You're probably starting to shrivel emotionally and you're not feeling great. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you think I'm no fun and I don't really want to go and be with someone, or they wouldn't want to be with me. And so a lot of guys just start to lose friendships and they just opt for staying home. Now you've got the phone, you've got Netflix, so you've got all kinds of excuses. You've got all the crap going on in the world. Sometimes I just hate to be around people. They're so rude. They're just so, don't get me started on. But again, they're people and they're like us. But sometimes you get this negative attitude about people because of all the polarization that's going on online. And so you just kind of dread going out. I don't want to be caught in the middle of some stupid, standoff or road rage or whatever. I don't know. So there's lots of reasons. I'm just kind of, rambling here. But for men, I think it's like, man, to trust some other dude, to want to open up and to actually, be in their, company. I know we had couple friends growing up. And there was times where we'd go hang out with a couple and it was fun enough, I guess, hanging out with these couples. But then sometimes you're really friends with the woman and the guy, I'm like, man, I just don't vibe with him, or I'm, friends with the dude, but you're not really friends with the wife or whatever. So it's kind of tricky to just have those one-off close relationships. Why do you think men don't have as many close friends?
I do think there's more, and which came first, the chicken or the egg, but there's more opportunities for women to get together. And it's honestly because we create them. Yeah. There's, people playing, however you say that, mahjong or whatever. I haven't learned, but I think if I did, I think it'd be fun. There's book clubs, there's bunco, there's women's Bible breakfast at Marty B's once a month. There's, fashion shows, and there's tour of homes, and there's
some kind of game with monkeys and sweet potatoes. I heard that's fun.
No, I'll tell you about that sometime. But no, I think women,
well, you create those opportunities.
Right. That's
women
what I'm
make
saying.
This stuff up. Yeah. It's a construct. And
so like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's like women, I think, are just naturally more drawn towards community. So we create these opportunities, to do it. One thing that I do, and I think just men, I don't just naturally, they don't just go, hey, let's get together and do this book club.
Well, for millennia, we created games, there's sports, there's competition. Men love that. And they love to build things, right? They love to fight and to go to war together. They love to actually engineer things and build things. And so, but again, the sport, and competition. There's all that. Here's what I know. So today, we were talking earlier, I reached out to 3 of my friends today, and you can count literally on one hand. I've got 3 that I talk to regularly, and those guys are so important. They're valuable, way more than, and one of the guys, we talk about that every time we get together, just how important it is for us to get together, because it really does do our soul good when we get together. You're just not alone, and you just realize you share so much of the same stuff. And we actually open up and we talk about how guys need it and how they're just starving for it and they're dying at home and they are isolating. So I don't take it for granted. Like those ones that I do have, I really value and I invest. I put time into it. You have to be thoughtful, because if you don't, you will lose them. But I think for those, it's just really cool, because when you see that they value that friendship as much as you do, a lot of times, I actually, thinking of that, I was called on that by one of my really, really close friends when I was in college. We were, more than just a casual acquaintance and classmates or whatever. He really, and so anyway, we were out to eat one time and he called me. He said, man, I just feel like I'm investing way more time and attention into this friendship than you are, and honest, he was right. And I apologize. It's like, cause I liked him a lot, but it was like kind of easy come, easy go. Right. I'll take it or leave it. Instead of, no, I need to take that, and of course, then some of our friends that we ended up being real close with the couple, and they would spend the night and we would go on vacations together. I mean, we were so close with them. That guy's become a lifelong friend. Yeah.
I think sometimes it just for men and women, but you just kind of get, especially as we get older, we kind of set these rhythms up, and especially I think just for us, here we are, we're working from home together. We're remote all the time. This is our safe, comfy space. So for us, I think we can just get really lulled into, man, we love being home. We love this space. We love, going in the backyard, and we have people over. But it just gets really easy to not go out. And I'll tell you one thing I noticed about me, because community is that's naturally what I'm drawn towards. I'm a connector. I'm a team builder. I'm a galvanizer. Like that's just who I am to my core. I love all
of those things.
But I noticed that during COVID, when we all were at home, and you just got used to that. That was, just kind of built that muscle, like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. We just, don't get out a lot. And so we're at home a lot.
It's a known quantity. It's safe. It's like, I know what to expect here. And when I go out, who knows?
And so I don't know. It's kind of weird, because I love going out. I mean, that's one thing my whole life, even raising the kids, I would go get them out of their, like, good morning, and go get them out of their cribs. And they're like, we go. And they were always, because they knew we'd be going, we'd throw them in their car seat, and there we go. So I taught them to go, and I went all the time, which that's a whole other thing. But I think we just get used to, like, okay, when we're home, we're safe, we're comfortable. And I started to develop sort of a social anxiety. It was so weird. Something I had not really...
That is weird for you.
I had not experienced that before. But even to the point where, like, I would say in the last couple of years...
if someone reached out, would you just ghost them?
No.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No. In the last couple of years...
Say no to... Sorry.
No, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Everyone has made it so easy to where you don't ever have to leave your house. So Amazon, boom, add to cart. It's here later this afternoon or tomorrow. Groceries. Oh, I don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. Like, my gateway drug for that was like Walmart pickup or Kroger pickup. And you just do your order and drive up there, stay in your car. They load it up in your trunk. Well, then that was my gateway. The next thing was Instacart. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me try that. So then Instacart, you don't even have have to get in your car and drive anywhere. They just bring it straight to your door. So all of that, like, sure, that's convenient. That's helpful when it's a super busy day. That's a time saver. But also, I think all of those things have kind of chipped away at community. And I'm not saying you go to the grocery store and there's a big old, community thing happen there. But honestly, there is. Back in the day, I remember this meme, and the kids would send it to me. It was this meme of this kid in the grocery store. These two moms are standing there talking, and the kids are laying in sleeping bags asleep on the floor. It's like when your mom run into a friend at the grocery store or whatever. And I remember the kids would just laugh like, oh my gosh, like I'd run into several people at the store and then just catch up, and that's not done as much anymore. I just think the way that the world is, it's chipping away at every part of community we can possibly find. But I do feel like we've had 6 years since COVID happened. Yep. And so I think we've seen as a society what it's kind of done for us. And I've just heard more little rumblings lately about like, man, people are ready to kind of be out and about, like not about that insulated life anymore. Like we can see what it's kind of done to us. And so anyway, so there's the isolation that I don't think is healthy because, we fear going out or even calling a friend for coffee or lunch. You just have this, or I had this weird kind of social anxiety. And so what that does is it can leave you lonely. It can leave you stuck in your head if you're struggling mentally anyway. It's just, now it's so far gone that I haven't, shared this with a friend that it's just too much water's under that bridge. Like, it just becomes comfortable to just keep it inside, and you can just kind of go down, down, down from there. So there's the isolation that's bad. And I see that in people that I meet with all the time, that they're like, I tell them, I'm so proud of you for reaching out, because that's the first step, is even them just texting or emailing or calling saying, hey, I think I need to talk to somebody. I've isolated enough. And so it seems all safe. Like, I'm just going to, stay safe. I don't want to talk to anybody about this. And you just, can become really kind of depressed. It's not good for your mental health. Well, then, okay, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but then.
No, that's good. Let me just jump in right there real quick before you move on. What's interesting about that is our sense of self, our identity is built on how people interact with us by not a chat bot, not AI, not social media, people that aren't there, but real people. When you look them in the eye and you're sitting with them and you say something, do they, do their eyebrows go up? Do their, the wrinkles on their forehead show up? Do they receive it? Do they kind of frown? Do they look at you puzzled? You're getting little micro movements of the face, and you're getting just verbal and nonverbal feedback from that person and people that you're with. And that's feeding you and helping you shape who you are. Like your ego, right? In the good part of it, not the bad part. And sometimes good and bad, right? I mean, the silence that we all are so afraid of, but when we spend time just alone, you can lose that sense of like reality about who you are, because you're not getting that feedback from other people that is helping you form for good and bad. I would say, I got to keep qualifying who you are, right? But let's just say, I just thought about you talking about this, the negative thought loops that you've been in, or that some of your friends, if you have negative self-talk and you're just isolated with yourself, as opposed to going out with your friends who are telling you you're amazing, you're awesome, I love you, you're so fill in the blank. If which one would you gravitate towards? But it's just so obviously, if you're just stuck with you may be getting criticism, self-criticism, and just horrible self-worth. And if you went out with your friends, they could tell you how amazing you are, right? And obviously tell you the truth if you're not so amazing and you need some correction. But the lack of that feedback that you get from other people is very, very, especially if you have a negative thought life going on, that's going to be detrimental for sure.
Yeah. And not to mention that I just thought about this, meeting this friend for lunch. I mean, I would say you and I have contact with a lot of people during the week, much of which is on Zoom. So we can develop a relationship like that over Zoom with people, which we do, you know, a lot of appointments over Zoom, but there's something too about the being eye to eye, like face to face, where you can touch someone. And so
there's so many disconnects on Zoom. There's actually a fatigue that sets in when you're not in that person's space, feeling that energy. And like you said, and actually, you know, because on Zoom, you may look at it's like, do I look at their face? Well, if I look at their face and they're looking at mine, then we're not looking eye to eye, right? Yeah. Or do I stare in the green dot? Then they see my eyes. But anyway. Yeah. So face to face.
So today, for example, just meeting this friend for lunch. When I first walked up to the table, she had just gotten there. She stood up and we just hugged for about 10 seconds. And she was like, "Oh, I've just missed you so much."
That was about half of the time you needed for oxytocin to be
Okay, well,
released.
Sorry. We did not get any oxytocin going. Okay. But just a good hug to start our lunch. I know maybe guys won't hug. Maybe they will. But,
yeah.
But whatever. That's
we do the little hand clap and then hug. Unless you awkwardly missed the hand clap because you didn't know which way they were going to do it.
Yeah.
Then you just kind of do a bump. Yeah. And it's like, it's awkward.
But then, so we, had a great conversation and just encouraged each other. She encouraged me. I encouraged her. We caught up. And then after lunch, we walked out to the parking lot and guess what we did? It was almost like you just know. You start with a hug and no, we did not kiss, but you start with a hug and you finish with a hug. And it just felt good, to be with her over lunch. And that was we've texted before. Awesome. We've had a phone call before. Great. I don't think this friend we've never Zoomed, but, just completely different when you put yourself in the position to be in community where you get to actually sit with someone in person. I think that makes such a difference. So
if you look at all the ways, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just all the ways, like you said, in history, and you talked about women, with the chicken or the egg, but all the ways that we created ways to be together. The ways we celebrate, the festivals, the parties. You watch a movie and they've always got it's like people are all in their own homes or they're isolated and then they come together, whether it's the little square and it's got the long tables and I love the Edison lights and it's just so romanticized, right? But those, like we're all out to dinner or we're all at the wedding, we're all at the festival, the party, a game, we've created the competition. We want to be together. We want to be in a communal experience. People are talking about, all the actors are talking about how horrible it is because nobody wants to go to the theater anymore. And so they're trying to, make these big blockbuster films to, you got to see this one in the theater. But all the streaming services, right, is pandering to all the people post 2020 who want to stay home and, have their little social anxiety, assuaged by sitting in your couch by yourself. But you tell me, take any good movie. Would you rather be some people would say, no, heck no, I don't want to be in a theater. The kids are, people are laughing, they're munching their popcorn or they're throwing their popcorn. Yeah, there can be those distracting moments, but and some people are like, man, I want to be able to do by myself and I can pause it or I can back it up. But I mean, in general, a really good movie experience by yourself versus with the crowd seeing it. If it's funny, they're laughing together. If it's scary, you're going, screaming together. There's nothing like, a sporting event on TV versus being in that stadium.
Yes.
And I always say, you could punch me in the face rather than being in that Cowboy Stadium right now. But there is something about an amazing experience that you're all experiencing together.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing, is just putting yourself in a place where you can be in community, a big part of the experience with other people. I think it kind of raises your awareness if you're out amongst the people, if you're really aware and alert and a lot of times maybe even just pray before and say, God, put people in my path today. Like, let me be fully alert, fully awake. And, even just an interaction that you might have, at the store or at the, where if you go to the movie theater or like we were at dinner that night, you were looking up, you weren't on your phone and you saw those friends and they were like, oh my gosh, literally we just said, something about Brian and Jamie. We were just talking about y'all. And so, there's interesting and really cool things that can happen.
Yeah.
You had that cool interaction, just a sweet thing the other day with our waitress at Hideaway Pizza. And anyway,
it wasn't even our waitress.
Some really cool things can happen, is what I'm saying. So it's part of just being out in community. But then also, if you want to think a little bit deeper, I kind of want to challenge you and me, but also anybody that's listening today. When you think about, okay, that's like being out and being active in the world, whatever. But then take it another step further, or maybe many steps further. When was the last time you intentionally set up something with somebody where you could really be open and vulnerable with them? Because you could go out every single day and be a part of the world and woohoo, well, I don't have a problem with that. But when was the last time you really allowed yourself to open your heart to a friend and be honest and really have a good heart-to-heart conversation with someone?
Yeah. It was very recently. And it's funny, when I talked about those 3 guys in my life, those are the ones that I do it with. And it's awesome. And I think we're all starving for it. And you got to get past that awkward or goofiness that guys can sometimes feel. They're so afraid to cross that barrier. Once you've done it and you know that this other guy is good to go, it's like, then you're going to both seek each other out. Like, man, I got to download some stuff. And, it'll start by a text. It's like, dude, 911, right? Red alert. It's like, okay, dude, let's get together. And I love that. So yeah, I mean, I just think people, they lack the trust in other people. It's like, man, who am I going to be vulnerable with? Dude, you're going to judge me. Or you're going to hammer me, or you're going to go talk about it. That's what I hear all the time. I don't want to be on freaking front page news or, find out that you went and blabbed to, the community or the family or whatever. And so we play all that close to the vest, man. Rightly so, many times. We've been trained that way. But man, how valuable it is. What's interesting is, and I've told you this, it can even be a store trip. Like when you go out, but especially like the evergreen or the lunch friend, you're a better person. Like when you come back, the spring is in your step. I see a girl who's kind of like high on life, you come back and you're just better. You're alive. It's just good for your soul. Right. And so let's talk about what happens when isolation starts hitting your house, and more than just, two spouses sitting on the, same couch, but never talking because you're staring at your phone. But what happens to the marriage when 2 people are isolating and not in community? How does that start to affect the marriage, do you think?
Well, I think if each of you start feeling like, man, we're, just maybe you go to work and come home, or maybe you both work from home. But when you start to feel that isolation, either just not being out, with other people, or mostly that second thing we talked about, not having a friend that you've really opened up and been honest and open and vulnerable with, I really do think your heart starts to shrink. You start to kind of stay in your own head, and that's such a dangerous place to be, all by yourself. And but it can become comfortable, and then we build that into the rhythm of our day. And that's just a habit. We don't reach out anymore. We don't open up with friends. And so I think when, whatever happens individually and how that negatively affects you, then just multiply it by 2. And so if I'm not in a great place, well, then you're isolating and you're not in a great place. And then we just can naturally start to drift even from each other. Or if we've isolated and we're not opening up to friends and we're putting all all of our eggs in each other's basket when we're not going to be everything each other needs, not the opposite sex, but just having friends outside of our marriage.
Right.
When I have all of my eggs in your basket to fulfill everything I need, you're a man. You can't give me, I need female friendships.
So females need females,
yes.
Males need males. Sorry, social constructionists that try to say there's no difference between men and women. We believe men and women are different. And so women can be loved on by their spouse, but I cannot meet all of your needs because I'm not female. So there's a lot of things in the female brain that I just cannot give you because I'm not female. Same with males. And like you said, you can qualify not members of the opposite sex and certain, especially not in the sexual department, obviously, but even in the emotional connection and the spiritual connection. You got to watch all that with members of the opposite sex. But it's the point. Women need women and men need men. So if Jamie's putting all her eggs in Brian's basket and I got dude friends, I'm like, sweetheart, come on. But usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the woman has all her friends. The guy's going, dude, I don't need anybody. You're my best friend. I love you. Let's just talk about it in a healthy relationship. I really, or in a good marriage, where he actually likes the wife, because there's so many, he just wants to get away from the old ball and chain. I need a kitchen pass, blah, blah, blah. But it's the man who wants to be with the wife. Well, then now she feels guilty if she goes out with her girlfriends that she really needs, because now he's at home pining away. I feel good for just leaving him there. So it's that pressure to feel I've got to be there for him. But how many times do we hear the women say, man, my husband has no friends. He's not in any kind of relationships with people outside of work at all. And, he's not going to want to hang out with his work buddies many times. And so that's really what we see more than anything.
Yeah.
We have the women who are saying, man, I've got my friendships. My husband has no men friends. And they feel a burden. Like you said, now puts pressure on them not to go be with their friends. But also they just say, it's not good for my husband to be isolated. He needs other men. Like masculinity is bestowed upon men by other men. All the things that will make a man's heart sing, feel heard and feel valid. So much of that comes from the female, but man, so much of it comes in the company of other men. And I think back to, for years, the Corner Bakery group, every Wednesday morning, my Wednesday night group, the company, the brotherhood. I just, did a funeral for one of those guys' moms just recently. I just saw one of them, another one at our Lucky in Love. I miss those guys.
Yeah.
We miss each other. But every time we start talking about it, somebody will say, hey, are you going to ever do a group again? And I'm like, man, dude, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's just sometimes just the responsibility of me making that happen. I was always like, hey, you guys make it happen, I'll show up.
Yeah.
And who knows? God's, there's seasons of that. And I've been you've kind of been nudging me that way. Maybe God's nudging me that way. We'll see.
Well, I know when we were at Evergreen at our women's retreat, several of those women said, man, I wish our guys had something like this, So that's where that conversation kind of started. Is that you?
Sorry about that.
So I think sometimes it's hard because women are like, we just want our husbands to, well, you can't make your husband, I mean, you can encourage him but you can't really make them do anything. You can't make them explore community, So I think the best thing is, maybe bring it up to him and y'all can talk about it and, just pray for him that somehow he would realize, like, man, I need, men do need other men and women need other women. And sometimes you need to be the one to go first. You can't wait like, well, nobody ever asked me to do anything. Like, you sometimes have to be the one to get the ball rolling on it, you know?
I was going to say that's exactly the point I was going to make, that so many times in your head, you're thinking, I'm thinking of one guy who I love hanging out with him, but he had this thing as growing up that he was kind of like, man, felt a little rejected. Like sometimes guys didn't want to be his friend. And so now he projects that thing still here as a, 55, 60, whatever year old man, that you're not going to want to be my friend. So and if you're isolated and you've been staying home a lot, you just feel like a loser. And so you think, I'm a loser. Nobody wants to be with me. So you would never initiate that call, maybe for fear of rejection. So, but when you start talking openly about that and you make the first move, you realize, oh, wow, they were just waiting. They felt just like I did. So we started to say what happens in a marriage if one is, or you're both isolated. So in those, what happens to a woman when it is the man who doesn't have any friends? So you said you were hearing from these women at Evergreen that like, hey, my husband, it'd be great for guys to have something like this. How does it affect negatively the wife when the guy doesn't have other male friendships? Or is isolated.
So we talked a little bit about this, but I do think that when, he may be putting like this, she's all I need. All I need is her, and I just think it can become like super short-sighted, and like there's so much more that he could be experiencing in life. And I know this sounds weird, but intimacy, like I think intimacy is not just for marriage. We say into me, see, that's in friendships as well. And if he would let his guard down and go, you know what, that's true. I can't have all my needs met by her. I do need some dude time, and some even kind of heart to heart time. Like I need a buddy that I can share some of this with, which is kind of you're kind of a stand-in. It's not like you're a buddy really, but many times guys come to you like, dude, I need to talk to somebody about some of this stuff, and you do become a friend to them, a guide or a mentor. But I think they're just missing out on so much in life. Like there's so many rich things, but you can't tell somebody that. Yeah. Like I can't, like a wife can't really go to a husband and say, man, you need guys in your life. I mean, she can, but he's going to probably look at her like, you're dumb. I'm not built like you, but I do think men need it. I want to say just as much as women. They might not need it as often as women, but I think guys really do need a good friend that when they need someone to talk to, they know who they can. Yeah.
And sometimes it's just being lazy. It's just like the energy it takes and making that phone call. And like, man, now we got to go meet up. And you may think it was just comfortable. Like you said before, just, hey, I can just hang out and Netflix is coming. There's my chair and I get my clicker and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
One of the circling back, you said, why do you think that is? There's something else that I hear. There's so many men that just feel like there's just so many men. And I again want to normalize this. They feel like, especially as they get older, like 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, whatever, it's like, this is it. Like, this is all I have to show for my life. I would have thought I would have been somewhere further down the road or accomplished more or be something that people look up to or respect or something that they're lacking. They feel lack. And so many men then, they feel like they may project those feelings onto other people. Like, how are you viewing me? And I remember a guy telling me, so if you're feeling that, I don't want to reach out because maybe I view you're more successful, you're happier, you've got more money, you're more respected. And hear me, that's what a lot of men feel like. Now, a woman will reach out and just talk about that. Yeah. But no man wants to admit that.
Yeah.
They got this fear that I'm going to be exposed for, again, the loser that I am. And so it's funny. I had, I can go play the extrovert, even though I have a tendency to be, introverted. And I do love people. I love community. And once I do get around people, I actually love it. And I do love parties. I love big family stuff. but it's really how the especially long time in that will drain me, and you're just getting energy and energized from it. But there was a time where I would love it when my boys' friends would come over, and I'm just thinking, I'm going to go out and hang out with them and just talk to them. And I had another father of one of those boys say, "Man, I just hear, Hack, how you come out there and they just love you, and you're just so funny and all that." And no, I'm not. I mean, I didn't see myself as any of those. Like, man, they just think you've got all these cool stories, or you're fun, or you're funny. Especially that word "funny." It's like, really? They think I'm some stupid old dude, and they're probably just making fun of me. But I wasn't afraid of that. That was my deal. I would just go out there and hang out, and ended up developing a lot of relationships with those boys, and I'm marrying some of them now, doing their premarital counseling, and they're officiating their weddings. But he said he would go hide out in his room when they came over. And it's like, what is that? And this guy is very respectable, fun, funny, success, all the things, respected and respectable. But for whatever reason, he felt like, I got to go hide when those boys get here, And so hear me, I think that's a lot of men.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of men.
I think you're
right.
right.
So it's like, let me just go hide out. So it's getting over our fear of not being enough. And again, women can just get together and share. I don't feel enough. And here, no, you're enough. And let's all hug it out. Right. And so so that's one huge reason I think why men isolate. And if we can just, it's not the stuff you learn in the Wild at Heart and Fathered by God. It's all the poser, the imposter, the shadow that we erect to protect ourselves from all these feelings of the lack. And many times we got that from our fathers, or we got it from the absentee father, if you will. But so there's that.
Before we finish today, something came to me that just as we've been talking, it's hit me many times. But how you've shared, I think even on this podcast before, what happens when you feel this nudge, like I need to reach out, or I need to do this, or let me organize this, or let me call this person, or do, and then you think, no, I'm not going to do it, and so you're kind of anxious, so you're talking yourself into like, you really feel like this would be good for me. I want to do this. I want to sign up for this, whatever, this men's breakfast or this retreat or evergreen or whatever. And then you're like, no, I'm not going to. What happens? What is the psychological things that happens in us when we kind of retract?
So here's, thank you for bringing that up. Here's what I truly believe. And we talked about, morphic resonance morphic resonance. And we talked about consciousness. I think we are the manifest presence of God. This is New Testament theology. God lives in us. The Holy Spirit is in us. In him we live and breathe and have our very being. So if something occurs to you, if something just comes into you and you're like, where did that come from? I really feel compelled. I want to sign up for that. Or I just thought I need to call them. You need to do it. That is the universe, energy, source, all that. It's God in you, pushing you to do that thing. I totally believe it. But the minute we feel that, we talk ourselves out of it because of fear. Oh crap. What if, I got this. I should write this song. I should write this book. I should sign up for this class. I should do this. I should call them. I should sign up to be a part of this. And then we start talking ourselves up. Why? Somebody will make fun of me. That's goofy. It'll be a waste of time. It'll be a waste of money. And all those things, you have just short-circuited what God was literally flowing. Like he wanted to, like you're a channel, you're a conduit, and he was going to flow through you. So that thing is God. Good. And so you just need to do it. So what happens when you reward your brain when it's afraid or you're anxious and you say, I'm not going to do that thing, and you just stay home and you sit on your couch? Well, you just said, if you've got a little social anxiety or whatever, your brain rewards you, says, whew, okay, see, you didn't get out of your comfort zone. You got out of that. I feel safe. And your world just shrink. You just shrunk?
Yeah.
Your world shrinks because you just avoided that thing. How many things do you avoid?
Yeah.
And your world could be expanding. You're all these things that God in his creative way created you in his image. He's trying to create in you and make this expansive world open up, but you're limiting by fear. And so, yeah, it's just your world shrinks when you say no, because your brain is literally rewarding itself. So what happens because neuroplasticity, when you say, I'm going to it's gradual exposure therapy, I'm going to get it, girl. So when you put yourself in these situations voluntarily, man, it's uncomfortable. But you know what? It didn't kill me. You know what? I survived. You know what?
I didn't
have a panic attack. I didn't die. Or maybe you almost did have a panic attack. But guess what? It's going to blow you away. It's actually surprising. It was great. It was way better than I thought. And now you've just expanded your world. So this is about... And you
realize, I think, too, in that moment, gosh, I've been thinking only about me, how this is going to affect me, or how this is hard for me, or me. And when you do it, you actually realize, wow, this world is a lot bigger. This is not so much about me. Maybe something happened when you did that thing, when you went to that thing, when you explored that possibility, and it was about someone else. Like you said, being the manifest presence of God, you're able to, like, what if it's not about you receiving anything? What if it's about you being the giver?
It's funny you said our self-focus, or you're thinking about you. Pride is not thinking too much of yourself. Pride is thinking about yourself too much. So if you quit thinking about yourself and forget about pride, so being self-conscious, if you can be others conscious, if you can, before when I was doing weddings, I'll go through periods where it's like, oh my gosh, why am I so nervous? Why are my hands cold? When I'm and then other times they're just toasty warm. What's the difference? It's like, which one am I going to manifest? The guy is like, I've done weddings my whole life, hundreds of weddings, and I've done this marriage thing for most of my adult life. I've got so much to share, and it's not in a prideful way, but I'm actually going to go help people. They're going to hear a lot of stuff that they need to hear tonight. Man, I can't wait to go bless them, with this, because God's going to speak through me. That attitude versus, oh no, what are they going to think of me? Am I going to mess up? Am I going to look stupid? Those are two different people, right? Yeah. And so if you can, and by the way, people aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. When you can walk in knowing they're nervous, they've got social anxiety, and you walk in and every hand that reaches out, you feel it, it's cold. Man, I'm like, bless your heart. I remember this one wedding I told you I just did recently, and I walked in, I was meeting everyone, and whether it's the splotchy neck, that's got the red splotches, or the freezing cold hand, I just wanted to look at them and just kind of, literally one, I just took their hand and I shook it and I put my hand on top on the other hand, like, hey, it's going to be okay. Yeah. Like, it's okay. Yeah. And you literally trying to just give them that energy, that warmth. Yeah. That, hey, it's going to be okay. Yeah. But yeah.
So how about, that's everyone's homework that's listening.
Here we go. What's the homework?
The homework
I thought you were just dreaming up.
No, if you feel that nudge, step into it, lean into it, do the thing, and look outward, not so much inward. And, phone a friend. I think just stepping out into community could be the best thing that you could do. So I think that's you and me. It's our homework, and it's everybody.
Yeah. Or just say get to it. Get it, and do it. Like any nudge, do it now. Do it like right now. Don't talk yourself out of it with fear. Don't save it for later.
Wow.